to another lit video. It's your girl, Lera, the period. Oh, make sure you consider a big thumbs up, comment in the comment section, don't forget to turn your post notifications, and hit the subscribe button. And for today's video, we're going to be reacting to, I think, I don't know her name, it doesn't show her name, but this girl was on Unpacked with Relebogile. She was on her talk show. So I guess she's talking about, she was actually the survivor from when Mpura and Kilakau passed away in a car accident. So I guess she's just gonna tell her story and how it happened. But yeah, it's an 8-minute video. I don't know if I want to react to the whole 8 minutes or I'm just gonna do 2 parts. You know what? I'm just gonna react to the whole 8 minutes. But without further ado, let's get into the video.
At the time, it was Voice, Mpura, and I. So we went to Pretoria, and the ride to Pretoria was very fun. Like, we were all singing in the car, making jokes in the car, just laughing. And then eventually we arrived at another club in Pretoria called Propaganda.
When you got to Pretoria,
yes,
who was it that was actually in the group that you were with that was playing?
When we got to Pretoria, it was Mpura, Voice, and I. And then later on, the boys fetched me upstairs because they were downstairs performing, and I was upstairs sitting, just waiting for them to finish performing.
Had you met Mpura prior to this?
No,
it was the first time.
That was the first time I met him.
And did you know who he was?
I knew who he was because of like social media and music videos, and he was a very lovely man, a very funny man too.
Yes.
And then after they were done performing, they called me upstairs to tell me that we needed to leave for another gig. And then we went downstairs, and then we waited for our transport, and then we got into our transport.
So when you left the Pretoria club, who was in the car with you?
When we left the club at Pretoria, we were 5 in the car, including me.
So 2 other people joined you?
Yes.
Okay, and who were the 2 other people that joined you?
The other 2 people were Tando and TD.
Okay, and had you met them before?
No. I basically met everyone on that night except for Voice.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tando and, did you say TD?
TD.
Yes. Are they also in the music industry?
I don't know.
Okay. So now there's 5 of you in the car. And what happens next on your way to Rustenburg?
I remember we were like making jokes in the car and we were singing along to the music that was playing in the car. Then eventually I told Voice that I'm tired and I want to sleep. Then he said I could sleep on his shoulder and he'll wake me up when we arrive to our next destination. Then I fell asleep.
And who was driving the car at this point?
I think it was Tando or TD, one of the 2.
Okay, so you fall asleep. And from your memory, what do you remember next?
I woke up in ICU. That's what happened. And obviously when I woke up, I naturally assumed we would all be in the same hospital because we were all in the same car. The last thing I remember was being in the car with everybody else laughing. So how did I land in hospital? So I remember there was a day when a nurse came to give me my food and medication for the day. But the doctors quickly called her to check something. So she left, but because she left so quickly, she forgot her phone by my bedside table. I overlooked, and her phone was on the Google Explore page, and that's when I saw my name, Mpura's name, Killer's name, Tando's name, everybody's name. And I was confused because I didn't understand why we were on the internet, but I just told myself, relax. The boys will explain everything. They'll explain why you guys landed in hospital, what happened, so you guys could be in hospital. Just focus on healing, getting better, and the day you get discharged, the boys will explain everything. And Voice would put my heart at ease like he always did. I was in ICU for a month. And within that time, like, no one had said anything to me at the beginning. And then I was just wondering, why am I in hospital? Where are the boys? Where's Voice? Then one day I remember I was watching TV. Then I saw someone on TV, and that person said Mpura was a funny man. And I was confused because I was like, what do you mean he was a funny man? He is a funny man. I met that man a few days ago, and that man is hilarious. But then I just let it go. And then a few minutes after that, someone stepped on stage and then they said the voice was a creative. And I was like, what do you mean was a creative? My friend is honestly the most creative person I've ever met. Like, he's a genius. He is creative. So I was trying to piece the puzzle together because, one, why am I in hospital? Two, why is the entire world speaking in past tense? What's going on? Then that's when I demanded to see a voice and transfer my ward room, because I thought if I'm in the hospital and I need to get better, I might as well do it next to a friendly face or a familiar face. And that's when they told me that we were involved in a very bad car accident and I'm the sole survivor.
You mentioned earlier that you saw Killer Gao's name also, but when you fell asleep, there were only 5 of you in the car.
Yes.
Did you not question mark that?
I did, because
Wow.
I don't know when the boys picked up Killer Gao. I don't know when this happened. So after I found out about the entire accident, I remember I asked the doctors to be discharged, because in my head I was like, if my friend really did pass away, I can't miss his funeral. At least allow me to be discharged so I could say my goodbyes. At the time, the doctors told me that unfortunately everybody I was with in the car had been put to rest 3 weeks ago. And I started crying. I broke down on the spot. And I asked the doctors, why didn't anybody wake me up so I could go to my friend's funeral and say my goodbye? And then they said there was nothing they could do because I was in a coma and I was heavily sedated with medication. So even if they wanted to wake me up, it wasn't wise because I was in a critical condition.
So what were those injuries that you had?
I fractured a few bones. I fractured my hip. I fractured my ribs. I fractured my right clavicle. Had internal bleeding, lacerated a kidney, lacerated a liver, had a hematoma which got infected and then it became septic. It's a lot.
And what is a hematoma?
It's basically when like your skin experiences trauma and blood.
Almost like a bad bruise.
Yes, basically. And then the blood just spreads around your tissue instead of like within your veins.
Did you have any head injuries?
Yes, I did.
And what were some of those head injuries? Was it just a concussion or something worse?
Something worse. So I have no idea what happened, but my head hit something within the accident and essentially it opened my head, like the skin. Nothing happened in terms of like brain injury or brain damage, but like it did cause trauma towards my skin.
So the doctor explains to you that everybody's been buried 3 weeks ago because they couldn't wake you up. How long were you in a coma for?
About a week. And then I think after that it was just being heavily sedated with medication because I needed to rest. My body needed to rest in order for me to heal. I literally found out everything through social media, which broke my heart because I would never wish this upon anyone. But finding out that one of the closest people in your life died next to you and you find out through social media, tabloids, it's the worst. People were trying to get a hold of me to find out what had happened about that night, and I don't have the answers because I don't know what happened. I was asleep. The last thing I remember is everyone laughing, smiling. Then I fell asleep and then I woke up in hospital. I don't know what happened. What?
I am speechless. This is something. And what's crazy is that the person that died, she slept on their shoulder. So I'm trying to like even picture, like, she can't even say, I remember we hit a tree or the wheel burst or the car got bumped by a truck. She can't even say nothing. All she can say is she fell asleep. It's almost like her falling asleep was almost her getting ready for it to happen, so she wouldn't actually be in the moment experiencing it happening. So that's, and then she just wakes up in a, like, imagine you fall asleep and then out of nowhere you wake up in a different place and you ask yourself, wait, what? The last thing I remember, I slept on my friend's shoulder and now I'm in hospital. And then on top of that, she found out, she asked to go to the funeral, and then she finds out they got buried 3 weeks ago, and then she finds out they died through an accident. Bro, it was even so, like, as she's speaking, they went from one club to another. So vele somebody knew their plans, and as somebody knew their plans, and as they were going there, they're like, ah, guys, I shame. I don't even know like what to say, bruh. Like, I'm so in shock. I don't even know what to say. May they rest in peace. Like, this happened probably I think in January or early February. But yo, she was she was in coma for a whole month. God, I got this world. This world is khafar. Guys, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up. Comment your thoughts on what she said because I'm so shocked. And don't forget to turn on your post notifications and hit the subscribe button. I'm on the road to 300 subscribers, and I'm out.